Hey guys, what's going on? Just want to do a quick little discussion video about Winter Jam 2019, and we just had it last night in my hometown of Mobile, Alabama, and we were the third stop on the tour, which is really cool. It's never happened for us before, at least that I can remember. So, since we're early enough in the tour, I figured maybe I can actually give you guys a little bit recommendations, and it will actually mean something, unlike last year. I apologize if the audio quality is a little bit bad. Again, all my recording stuff is locked up right now, and I'm having to just use a camcorder. But I've got some pictures that I took last night that I'll be exchanging on and off. So let's start with the pre-jam party. So Manic Drive opened up, and for what I heard, I was impressed. I had never heard this group prior to this. Never even heard of them before they got announced for Winter Jam. So I don't really know too much about them, but based off of what I heard, they sounded good enough that I'm probably going to go ahead and check out their music now, and maybe one of these days, if wife will start working out for me again, I can actually get a music review up on them or something, you know. It's just so. But yeah, they were a good opener. Up next was Ty Brasel. I think that's how you say his last name, or Tyler Brasel, or I don't know. Basically, guys, my opinion of him. I'm sure he's a nice guy. I'm sure he's worked really hard to get where he's at, and I applaud him for it. He was by far the low point of the evening. Just didn't do anything for me. I thought his vocals were just shaky, and maybe he was nervous. But he just his whole persona just didn't really do anything for me. You know, I've seen his genre of music done well, and I don't think he did very great. But you know, it's just one person's opinion. Please don't take this too much to heart or anything, in the sense of that, like, my opinion is the only one that you should listen to. I would say for him, check out his music beforehand, and if you like what you hear, then maybe you'll get something out of it. I was going into this completely blind, and I wasn't very impressed by what I heard. And then finally, closing out the pre-jam party, we had Mr. Dan Bremnes making a return from last year, and he didn't really do too much different from what he did last year, but of course, a very solid performer. I love his voice, and he's obviously gotten more popular since last year, because wherever I go has at least that one has been released. I'm assuming that the rest of that EP got released at some point, but I never really did hear anything about it. There was no announcement or anything. But yeah, very, very solid closer to the pre-jam stuff. And then we move on to the main event. So we started the actual Winter Jam kicked off with Holland. And Holland, I have listened to her music. This is my first time ever seeing her in person. And I will say this, she looks a lot younger in person than I thought. So that was something, I guess. But as far as her performance, I thought she did really well. She did about 6 songs though, which confused me, because last year Jordan Felice was the opening for the main Winter Jam, and he only got to do 3. Now, I'm not saying that Holland necessarily didn't deserve to do 6 songs or whatever, but it's kind of a weird situation just because with her, based on the number of songs that some of the other bands played, you would have thought that maybe they would push Holland to later in the show, but I guess they decided not to do that. Yeah, she did a lot of interesting things, things that I didn't know that she did. For one thing, she played. I didn't know that she played guitar or piano, for that matter, and she demonstrated both of that. Kind of a little bit of everything that she had to offer, and all together, it was a really well done set. So, good job to her, and she is worth seeing in person, I believe. Next up was New Song. And, because New Song, they're the host band, they're going to be on there. And the thing that I have to say about New Song, I don't remember if I said this last year or not, but New Song is probably one of the most underrated bands that you will ever see live. I mean, in studio, they're pretty much your average Christian band. Live, I don't know what it is, but live there's just an extra special element that is there, and they just knock it out of the park every single time. They just, they did their standard stuff, Rise My Love, the My Name is Christian song or whatever, or I Am a Christian, My Name is Pilgrim, that song. But, they knocked it out of the park, as they usually do. And it's just, I love seeing them live. There's so much fun to see live. There's so much energy there too, from just a little bit more of a classic Christian music kind of a sound. Alright, so after that was Miss Jen Ledger touring for the first time without Skillet, her band Ledger, and there was a lot of questions about what was going to happen between her and Winter Jam, and then Skillet is going to be going on tour fairly soon with Breaking Benjamin. There was a lot of questions about that, I know. For the time being, she is going to be remaining on Winter Jam and not touring with Skillet, as far as I know. The only thing that I can say, I did see something on Facebook about Skillet had sent out a message wishing Jen luck and everything, and they did make a note in that post that she would not be at the February 2nd show, I believe it is. And if I'm wrong, somebody can correct me in the comments on that. But so if whoever you are, February 2nd. Sorry, I guess she'll be taking that night off for whatever reason. But for the rest of you, wow, just wow. There's not, it's like a Skillet show, but it's brought down significantly because there's no pyrotechnics, there's no crazy platforms or any of that kind of mess. But Jen was just, oh my lord, she just knocked it out of the park. She sitting here skipping around the stage, singing her songs, and she only did 4 songs, which is why I wonder why they opened up with Holland. I kind of expected Jen to not open up because I know she has a little bit more star power being associated with Skillet. But then I also knew she'd be, fairly early in the lineup because she is a new artist for her solo stuff. So I don't know. I don't know. But regardless, though, I mean, she did so well. She owned the stage as far as I'm concerned. Her band played very well. I mean, and she did, ironically enough, if you haven't seen my review of her EP, the first two songs she did were my least two favorites from the album, but what are you gonna do? She played a brand new song that was not on the EP, and I am really desperate to try to get my hands on it. I don't know. It's not on iTunes that I can see. I don't know, so we'll just have to keep our eyes out on that. But and then of course she closed with "Not Dead Yet," and yeah, I was it just was amazing. I mean, she very much. I think I said this back when I reviewed her EP, but if she wants to do this full time and leave Skillet, which she doesn't plan on doing right now, but if she wanted to do it, I would support the girl 100% because she, like I said, she just owns the stage. She was born to do this. It doesn't matter if she's behind the drums. It doesn't matter if she's singing. She was born to do this, and I could not be, as a fan, be more proud of this girl for what she's done. Right, so moving on after her was Mandisa, which kind of surprised me. I thought Mandisa was going to be either, second to last or third to last performance of the night. But Mandisa came out, and let me stop right there for a minute. Before Mandisa came out, there was a speaker. I believe I don't remember the name of the speaker, but it's the part of the Winter Jam show where they always have some type of message that's being delivered. I didn't hear the message myself because I was out at Jen's table, and there's a little bit of a story behind that I'll get to at the end of the video. But so I missed out on the message. I'm sorry, guys. I can't get into a whole lot of detail about that, but I'm sure it was great. I'm sure that it was a well delivered message and everything. But I can't speak about it though because I did not get to witness it. So anyway, getting back to Mandisa, sorry about that. Mandisa, this was my second time seeing Mandisa in concert, and man, oh man, the girl has got some lungs. She can sing so well, and once again, knocking it out of the park. She had a couple dancers with her, different singers with her this time from the last time I saw her. Last time I saw her was like a few years ago. She was on a tour with Casting Crowns, and songs I can point out specifically, I don't remember all the song names, but she did Overcomer, she did Stronger, Unfinished, I believe is what the song is called. And then later, she did something with Danny Gokey, which I thought was pretty cool. I don't remember the name of the song, though. And I believe that was the last song that she did. But, I mean, if you've never heard Mandisa's music, if you've never seen her sing, I mean, you could even go back and watch all of her songs from American Idol. She's just an amazingly pure singer. She's so good. You've got to see her, if nothing else. And speaking of Mr. Danny Gokey, they really surprised me with this one. Danny Gokey was up after Mandisa was, and that kind of surprised me. I would have thought he'd been second to last, but Danny Gokey, man. So everything that I was saying about Mandisa and her voice, just apply all of that to Danny Gokey. Danny Gokey has when he's really in the moment, he has like one of those angel kind of voices, you know. So when you had the two of them together, it was awesome. But then Danny Gokey started doing his thing, and he actually sang a couple of new songs that I guess are coming out on an album. I guess he's having an album coming out. He mentioned something about pre-ordering, and the two songs that he had introduced during the concert were going to be on that album. So I'm guessing he's got a new album coming out. So sweet, we got something to look forward to there. But Danny just did so good. He did so good. I mean, and you know, and what the ones that I can remember off the top of my head were Hope in Front of Me, Tell Your Heart to Beat Again. I want to say, I don't know if he's got a song called Rise off the top of my head, but I think he did I think he did that one. There was a few others that I probably should have recognized. I'm not as familiar with his latest album as I probably should be, so that's my bad. But you know, it just Danny Gokey is totally worth going to see for the same reasons as Mandisa. It's just you will get an awesome experience listening to his voice, his singing, and he's just got great music. So, and I may have gotten this out of order. At one point in between breaks, there was a one song segment that was done by Adam McGee, I believe is how you say his last name, and I didn't know who he was at first, but as it turns out, he is actually the I guess now former frontman for the band Stellar Cart, because I think Stellar Cart broke up. But he has actually been traveling with Newsboys. I think he's got his own little solo stuff that's out. He only did one song. He was mostly there as the guy to promote the Child Fund program, which he got into a big deal about, and you know, it is a very good cause what they're doing, but I'm not here to talk about that right now. But you know, for the one song that he did, he was really good, and it kind of took me back a little bit because I remember listening to Stellar Cart growing up, so it was pretty sweet. So I'm sorry if I got that out of order, but I can't remember for sure. Second to last band was Ren Collective. Really surprised me that they got moved back that far, and then on top of that, they got moved back to second to last band, but they only played 4 songs. So, and that really confuses me. Usually second to last band has got a bigger set list than that, so I don't know. I'm not really sure what's going on with that. They had but I mean, it was just, you know, as in their own words, it was just a classic Irish shindig, basically. You know, they did their classics, you know, White House, Build Your Kingdom Here, and, you know, the other, I wish I could remember the other songs that they did, but it was, you know, everything that you expect out of a Ren Collective show. So all the crazy different, the Irish specific instrument. The one thing that the guy plays, I don't know what this thing is called. It looks like a cello with a wood block on it, but it's like drum pads instead of a cello. I have no idea what this thing is. Somebody has got to tell me, but it is like one of the coolest things ever. And I saw that the first time I saw Ren Collective, and I've yet to figure out what this thing is, but that was there. They had chimes, which I don't think they ever used, but I mean, everything you get out of a Ren Collective show, you have bells, you have chimes, you have a concert bass drum, you have these big, little bit more, we'll say tribal or native four tom. They're four toms, but the way that they're done up is a little bit different than your typical four tom. And oh yeah, and then there's the little nugget of when they when they started doing Build Your Kingdom here for the second time, because like they had stopped and it's like, you know what, no, we're not quite done, and so they did it. They played it a little bit more. They all put on, I don't know what. It was funny. It was funny to see this, but they all put on these panda masks. I was busting out laughing. I was like, this is the craziest thing I've ever seen. But yeah, that's how they closed off their set and everything. It was pretty sweet. And then, you know, finally, to close out the show was Newsboys. And not just Newsboys, but Newsboys United, which is a very big deal to somebody like me. And the reason for that is because I grew up with the classic Newsboys. I have been following them ever since I first heard Shine when I was like 4 years old. I have been following this group. I love the Newsboys. What can I say? And the day that Peter Fuller and Phil Joel left Newsboys was one of the saddest days ever for me. It's no disrespect to Michael Tate or anything. Michael Tate's done a phenomenal job since taking over, but it's just, you know, it's just not the same. It's just the old Newsboys just holds a special place in my heart. Well, being able to see those two come back and play with the Newsboys, something I didn't think was going to happen when I first saw that Newsboys United was going to be a thing. I was ecstatic, and then I was very disappointed because they weren't coming to Mobile, or anywhere close to Mobile for that matter. And I was very disappointed, and then I found out they were going to be on Winter Jam, and I thought that was, you know, oh my lord, that's awesome. And the way they did it was, the current Newsboys came out, they played a few songs, and then they started singing He Reigns, and that's when Peter and Phil came out, and you talk about a pop. If you ever heard a pop before at any live event, man, I tell you what, the place lit up, and it was just the best thing ever. And they just, you know, they didn't do as many classics as I would have liked, but when you have like a 30+ year history of music, you know, you can only do so many songs. So, you know, I don't hold any ill will to them. They did do Shine, which was awesome. They did Go, you know, and the poor guys, they had apparently had some sound trouble, and they had experienced it on the first night of touring over in Jacksonville. So hope they get that fixed over the course of the tour, man, because I think they had to cut off a couple songs in the set list too, because like songs you didn't get to hear Guilty, you know, and you didn't get to hear some of the classics like Breakfast or Take Me to Your Leader, but, you know, it's all good. You know, and of course, so I should talk about real quick, they did this crazy little thing with where Peter, when the band originally formed, Peter was the drummer, he wasn't the front man. And so he hopped up on the drums, and they actually did Jesus Freak, and because I forgot that Newsboys did a cover of that, and so of course Michael's lighting it up doing Jesus Freak, and Peter's on the drums. Well, what happened was Duncan snuck off the stage. There was another drum set that was hidden, and it was on this platform. And then basically he and Peter had this big drum solo after Jesus Freak was over, and the platform, you know, it raised up and then it tilted down. Like, I don't know how they do that, like how they strap everything down. I don't know how he fell off. Like, I mean, you know, it was so sick to watch. And then, so he's angled down, and then the platform starts turning while he's angled down and everything. It was just like, I just thought this guy was out of his mind, and he is out of his mind. But that was some pure entertainment, and it was a lot of fun to listen to those guys just have a nice, I don't think it wasn't a drum battle, but it was a nice little drum duet, and it was really fun to watch. And of course, you know they're going to. They closed off their set with God's Not Dead. And of course the crowd's going nuts over it. That's the song that everybody wants to hear. And I'm like, you guys need to go back to the 90s and listen to the old Newsboys. I love the song God's Not Dead. Please don't misunderstand me on that. I love that song. But it's like there's so much other good Newsboys songs. But, you know, I'm very happy that they closed with that. You know, it's a great song, and of course there's no better closer for them than that one. And then the show ended, but the night did not end for me because I need to explain what happened when I went to Jen Ledger's table. They had a package thing that you could get where you got a bunch of merch, and you see I'm wearing some of it. Like, I'm wearing the hat, I've got the wristband, and I've also got the Not Dead Yet t-shirt. So it was about $100 for all this merchandise, but if you bought it, you got to go and do a meet and greet with Jen after the show was over. So I got to meet Jen Ledger, which was one of the coolest things that could have ever happened to me as long as I live. And just as sweet and caring in person as you would picture her to be. You know, we were able to get something autographed from her. We got her pictures taken. And I'm going to put my picture with her up on the screen just as proof that I actually met her. And it was just, that was totally worth every dime that I put into that. And speaking of meet and greets, there's other artists that have meet and greet stuff available. I know Dan Bremnes has a chance. You know, he did this thing where, like, you could text a number or something, and he'll text a number later, and he'll give you instructions about being able to meet him backstage. So it's kind of like a little thing for him. I didn't walk around and look at every table to see if there was a meet and greet section, but what I can tell you is when I walked out to meet up, because we had to meet up at Jen's table after the show in order to go meet her. And when I was walking there, I noticed Adam McGee was at his table, Holland was at her table. So some of those artists you can meet Dan. Dan usually does like a thing for people waiting in line outside. He's a pretty cool guy about that. And I think the guys from Manic Drive were out there selling some of their gear, so you can meet them too. Newsboys. So check this out. They have a thing going where if you sponsor a child through the Child Fund program that they're doing, they will actually, at least for us anyway, they were wanting everybody who decided to sponsor a child that night. They were gonna gather all of them up and meet them and say thank you for supporting the child and everything. And you could meet Newsboys and everything and have a meet and greet with them too that way. So I had already put in for meeting Jen, but I tell you what, if she hadn't been there, I probably would have been half tempted to support a child anyway, just to meet Newsboys, because it would have been worth it. I mean, the cause is worth it anyway, but I mean I think that's a pretty good deal, to be honest with you. But yeah, so if you feel like that's something in your heart to do, there's a very good chance that they may gather everyone who does that, and thank you for doing it, and in turn you get to meet Newsboys. So pretty good deals all the way around there. Just overall, this is very, very solid Winter Jam this year. I was very it doesn't have to be flashy, it doesn't have to be anything over the top or whatnot. You know, it just was very, very good night of, you know, worship, entertainment, and just everything that you should expect out of Winter Jam was there. Very few low points at all in this thing. It hardly any at all. I mean, it was a really good show this year. So, but anyway, guys, yeah, all I can really say is go out, and if it's coming to a city near you, you really should go check it out this year. There's a lot of good music for you to listen to. There's going to be, you know, just there's chances to meet the artists themselves in that regard, and you know, it's just if you've never been to a Winter Jam concert, it's just something that you really need to check out. And I hope that this whole event, you know, I hope that it never goes away, because you know they've been doing this, I think they said now, for like 20 years, and you know, I hope it goes on another 20. I hope it goes on another 200 if the Lord tarries. So, but anyway, guys, that's really all I've got for this. I just wanted to give my thoughts about Winter Jam and say, you know, go check it out. You're going to be doing yourself a favor. $15 at the door is not bad. It's really not that bad, because there's like 10 bands. You're paying $1.50 to see each band, basically, is how you're looking at it. So, anyway, there's nothing else I can really say that wouldn't be really redundant. So, I'm just going to go ahead and close off the video. Thank you guys so much for listening, and I'll continue to post further updates on the channel as soon as they become available. But until next time, guys, may the Lord bless you and keep you, and as always, take care.
But I'm not